Standard Chartered Bank has come out with some bold predictions about XRP that I want to share with you guys in this video. Two of which that might stand out to you guys and pique your interest. One prediction being XRP is going to flip Ethereum and move up 500%. There's a timeline behind that I want to share with you guys. And another one saying that by the end of 2025, we could see XRP at $5.50. Now, this is coming from one of the larger banks in the world. Standard Chartered is a very large bank. It is not one of the top 100 banks. I looked into this, but it is a rather large bank here in the USA. And we could see some very, very big moves for XRP in the future because of what we're seeing happen from a regulatory perspective here in the US and with the actual utility that could be behind the future use case for the XRP token and the XRP ledger. Welcome back to the Crypto Report, everybody. I want to talk about these two predictions from Standard Chartered and get into the details on this in this video. Talk about the possibility of this $5.50 XRP by the end of 2025, which I have always believed is possible, and Standard Chartered is actually getting behind this as well and putting out the official prediction. So let's talk a little bit about it. Welcome back. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, guys, and let's get into this. At the time of this recording, let's get into the prices and look at what's going on in the crypto market. After we had a very nice bounce happening yesterday and some renewed optimism, I told you guys that while I did like the bounce we were seeing, we were not quite out of the woods yet for the short term because we needed some weekly candle closes at certain price levels for Bitcoin, for the total market cap, and then, of course, for XRP. You'd really like to see XRP close above $2, and at the time of this recording, we are still there. We are still at $2.13, but Bitcoin is now coming lower. Yesterday, Bitcoin got all the way up to like $85 or maybe even $86,000. We're going to take a look at it in a second, but it's starting to spill back over. So we're going to get into the price action. Stick around to the end of the video for that, but let's hop into the news story for the day, which is this. I saw this article and I needed to share with you guys because it was very, very interesting to me. Standard Chartered sees XRP soaring 500%, flipping Ethereum and becoming the second largest crypto. Now, the timeline for this may surprise you. I do believe that this is something that's going to be possible for XRP, but Standard Chartered is saying XRP is set to explode by 500% in 2028. That's a 6x. Okay, guys? A 500% is a 6x. A 6x on top of the current price for XRP brings us all the way up to a $10 XRP. In fact, a little bit higher than a $10 XRP. So Standard Chartered is saying, hey, $10 XRP, we get behind that as well. Not just $5.50. Where did I get $5.50? I'm going to share that with you guys here in a second. But they're saying by 2028, sure, $10, no problem, which is right in line with what I think expectations are for XRP. And in fact, it could go higher. I would say that this is probably a relatively reasonable prediction they're putting out. Banks are not trying to put out ludicrous predictions, I don't think. I think they really do believe this, and that's a very good sign for all things XRP because, you know, the ETF approval is coming. Looking at tokenization, leadership, and institutional adoption are probably going to be the things to fuel it to go past Ethereum, which is something we've been discussing. There's a lot more utility for XRP. It's actually got really a much better sense of price strength lately, and I think it's because of some of these things. Now, this XRP prediction is officially $12.50 by 2028 because of all these variety of things that XRP could be used for in its role in global payments and tokenization. And this is what major banks are expecting. So this isn't just YouTubers and people on X talking about this. This is a major bank discussing this these days, which is, again, a very, very, very positive thing. And of course, then they're looking at, you know, they're addressing the regulatory momentum with the SEC. And, you know, if this thing actually gets settled and the XRP spot ETF comes out in Q3 of 2025, and it could come out sooner because of Paul Atkins being the head of the SEC, they're estimating that it could bring $4 to $8 billion in inflows to that ETF in the first year. They're also addressing the tariff mess, addressing that, and this is including all these things that are going on. What they're also discussing is the fact that, this XRP case is probably going to get finalized soon. They're looking at some of this. They're looking at Coinbase has filed with the CFTC to launch nano XRP futures. So there's a lot of really positive things happening for XRP. But I want to hone in on this little bit of this article right here, because I think this is probably the most interesting to all of you guys out there that are asking the question, what can we expect for XRP in 2025? Well, Standard Chartered is saying $5.50. And before I read this, I want you guys to understand that even when you're expecting a price of $2 going to $5.50, or looking at your most bullish predictions for anything in any given timeline, it's always nice to take profits on the way to those levels. And I think that that's what we need to kind of keep in mind moving forward. If you're involved in crypto, you're never going to be upset when you're taking profits. Okay, if you're taking a win, you're a winner. Let's read through this. Standard Chartered analyst anticipates XRP to reach $5.50 by the end of 2025, then increase to $8 in 2026. Now that is very interesting. And then finally, the $12.50 by 2028. So what they're saying is $8 in 2026. But pump the brakes on that for a second, because what we've been talking about on this channel is historically for these bull markets, from the lows to the highs, a bull market lasts about 1,000 days, 1,050 days or so. So if I go from the lows of this current bull cycle that we're in, which is right about here, right about there, to the highs, or well, actually 1,000 days out, which would hypothetically be the highs. Technically, the end of this bull market, the end of this blue box right here would be the end of the bull market. That's about 1,050 days. That date right here at the edge of this blue box is October 6th of 2025. That should be the end of the bull market historically with the 4-year cycles. But Standard Chartered Bank is saying that XRP could keep going up and get to $8 in 2026 when the bull market should be over. So who's right here? Are the 4-year cycles correct? Or is Standard Chartered correct? And basically what they're saying here is the 4-year cycles as we know it are over. Even in 2028 for XRP to be at $12.50 would be contrary to these 4-year cycles that we've had. So are we at a time where the 4-year cycles are over? Is that what Standard Chartered Bank is saying here? Well, they might be, guys. And you've seen some other folks like the CEO of Crypto.com, Chris Marsliak, come out and say similar such things, believing that, these 4-year cycles are over and, mainstream adoption for crypto is here for the long term. So these are the price levels that they think are possible with their timelines. Always set your targets accordingly to take profit on the way up, guys. Remember, these are predictions that, predictions are predictions. They don't always come true. Sometimes they're accurate. Sometimes they're conservative. Sometimes they're too bold. But I do think that XRP's got a lot of upside for the future. I was talking about a potential $20 XRP one day in my video yesterday, and I do think that one day that is possible. Possibly even in the next bull market, especially if we do get this mainstream adoption for XRP, the XRP ledger, and crypto overall. Let's look at the price action for XRP in the short term, because what we did have was a nice boost on the weekly candle for XRP and really the overall crypto market. But this green candle has gotten a little bit lower, and our green candle weekly close is shrinking lower and lower. Now, there are still 8 hours left for this weekly green candle to close for XRP, but let's look over at the total market cap for crypto, because I put out a prediction in my few videos yesterday to say that the highs from our March 2024 highs for our total market cap for crypto and this weekly candle close that we're looking at right here is very important. If this weekly candle close is below these March 2024 levels, then we have experienced a rejection off of this, what was previously support, now turned it into resistance, which calls for potential lower price levels, which would make sense because we still have uncertainty with inflation, the interest rate, the Fed and their decisions there, and then, of course, tariffs. And we still have ongoing tariff things happening with China. And if this weekly candle closes below this, unfortunately, that does mean that XRP might end up closing a little bit lower, possibly down to like this $2.09 level. If we close below this, again, that would be support. And then $2 is certainly a very significant level. You'd really love to see us at least hold above $2. We're not totally looking to go below $2 if we close at 209 here on this weekly candle, just again, because this is kind of a level that we had a significant weekly candle bounce there. But that being said, guys, if Bitcoin has this weekly candle close below this yellow trend line here at about 83K, which it is right now at that level with 8 hours left on the day for trading, we might see Bitcoin come back down to 71K. And if that happens, guys, you might get more discounts for XRP below $2. I wouldn't be surprised to see XRP come back down to $1.62 before going up to those higher levels that Standard Chartered is talking about. I'm bullish on XRP, but I want to talk realistically about what's happening on the macroeconomic side for crypto, for global markets overall, and then, of course, for XRP. And I want to know, what are your thoughts on this Standard Chartered prediction? What are your thoughts on my predictions for crypto here in this short term? Please remember, guys, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't give financial advice. I've been in crypto for a long time. I love to trade. I think there's a lot of volatility in these markets to do some excellent trades. I was shorting XRP a lot, getting down to that $2 price level all the way up from like $3. If you want to do some trading for yourself, you can sign up for Blowfin using the link I've got it pinned in the description in the comments for you down below if you want to check it out, up to a $5,000 deposit bonus when you do sign up using our link. Until next time, I'm Crypto Kip. This is a Crypto Report. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel, DCA HODL. I'll see you in the next one. I got 2 videos here if you want to check them out. See you next time, y'all. Peace.